You're listening to the Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy, alternative DVD commentaries. Our film for today is from the year 2000. It's called Bring It On. And I'm joined by two very special guests, Mike from Commentary Trackstar. Say hello.
Hey, how's it going?
And John, once again, from Sofa Dogs.
I'm special.
Yay. I'm very pleased to have you guys on board with this. And you might find it odd that we're choosing to do Bring It On, but we're gonna go into that, why we chose to do this movie as the commentary begins. But if you'd like to watch the movie with us, which I hope you do, our sync point for today is going to be the first black frame after the, I believe it's Universal logo.
That's correct.
Fades to black. So cue that up on your DVD, pause this track if you need to. So I'm going to assume you have that set up by this point. So I'm going to give you a countdown, and when you hear me say unpause, we'll all unpause together, and we'll watch the movie together, hopefully in sync. All right, here comes the countdown. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Okay, you should be seeing the Beacon logo right now.
Yep.
And we're in this first opening sequence here. And here's my little story for this movie. I had never seen this movie till yesterday. It was my first time watching it. And I'd actually seen this opening sequence. I didn't remember, but I'd actually seen it. And I found it to be quite funny. How do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, I saw this. This opening sequence is the reason why I watched the movie in the first place. I'm a projectionist, so when this movie came out, I had to screen one of two movies that week, and I chose to screen The Crew, because I thought for sure that would be the better movie.
Oh, yeah, that was a hit.
Yeah. And then, the next morning or whatever, first show of the day, this started up, and I saw this, and I'm like, okay, this movie is not what I thought it was going to be. And then, the day after that, I sat down and watched the whole thing and, really kind of fell in love with it. But, this scene to me, I think is like, it works so well on so many levels. It's so subversive. It's basically, it's kind of a gamble because, obviously our audience that this is catering to is, well, essentially cheerleaders, So like right off the bat, you're saying like, okay, here's what cheerleaders really are, and it's not a pretty picture. But then, the rest of the movie is kind of pro cheerleader, and you just kind of need to like get back to where they assumed you were going into it. Does that make any sense? Probably not.
No, I get what you're saying, and I think for me, when I found out like, oh, there's a sort of a comedy about cheerleading and done through the genre of a sports movie, because all of the sort of bullet points are there, about, it's like, will they win the big game or the big competition? And I, the only real reason why I rented the movie when it came out was because of the actors involved. I was a fan, and still am, of a lot of the folks in front of the camera, and there was really it. I had no like grand interest in. It was like, cheerleader movie. Okay. Thankfully, because it's a comedy, and a pretty good one at that, a pretty broad one, then that was also an in. Like if it had been a serious, drama about the hardships of being a cheerleader, I certainly would not have had any interest.
Yeah, I'll tell a brief little story about how this came together. And actually, I was talking to both of you and trying to figure out a movie we could do. And it was you, Mike, that actually suggested this. And I was really caught off guard. I was like, what? Okay, are you serious? At first, I thought you were joking. But,
well, to be fair, like it's not like I came up with this off the top of my head. You were like, we should do something like Twilight, and then
Right,
you said
yeah.
like a movie that 4 dudes would have no business talking about, and I'm like, well, Twilight, I think, is that a little too much. How about
little too commercial?
Well, no, just a little too
it's the easy obvious choice,
right? Yeah, and it's also incredibly boring and stupid. So why not go with something?
Ooh, you might alienate some Twilight fans out there.
Well, you know what?
That comment.
So I don't care. But like this movie is actually like legitimately good,
Mm-hmm.
even though it is a cheerleader movie.
Well, you know what? I did watch this for the first time yesterday, and I really, really enjoyed it. I was actually quite surprised at how much I did enjoy it, because I was really hesitant. I was like, I don't know. But as I was watching it, I think I tweeted you, John. I was like, man, this movie's like on speed. It's like all cracked up, because it just moves bing, bang, boom,
Yeah, the director is Peyton Reed, who also made Down with Love, which is a movie I also enjoy.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to make that. I didn't know it was Peyton Reed until the end credits rolled. I was like, oh, Peyton Reed. It makes sense. I was like, he did Down with Love. I was like, and that movie just brings you right into that world.
Yeah, he's an extraordinarily good director, and this is the first time. Oh, I guess it's his first movie. So this is the first time that I ever heard of him. Although he did do a lot of stuff for Robert Zemeckis back in the day. Yeah, Down with Love, and then like his other two movies too. Like each one is different. There isn't like a Peyton Reed style. It's whatever it needs to be, And you can really tell like in this movie that there's like a much more talented director just sort of like waiting to burst out. I mean, visually speaking and everything like that, this movie, and editorially especially, this movie is really solid. But like, you look at something like Down with Love, and it's like, okay, now...
So glad you guys are talking right now.
It's like, well, there's his chance to really kind of like flourish as like a visual, director. And then for something like The Breakup, he pulls it back and just does what he needs to do to tell that story too. But, yeah.
Well, let's talk about the girl on screen. I found it really fascinating when I was watching this. This movie was just like a roll call of all these actors and actresses that I recognized from other things. And that girl, Big Red, I know from the Wonder Years. I don't know if you guys remember that.
I don't. I know her from her more... She was in 2 movies this year, like Horrible Bosses and some other movie. Oh, no, last year she was in She's Out of My League. Yeah, last year.
Okay. Well, yeah, she was... the girlfriend of Chuck on the Wonder Years. She played a character named Alice and looked and acted nothing like she does here. And I was like, oh, cool. It's Alice from the Wonder Years. And then you got this Asian girl back here, and I recognized her from Clueless. And the brother of Eliza Dushku, I recognized him from a movie called Eulogy. And of course,
Jesse Bradford. Yeah, he's also a swim fan.
Swim fan. And yeah, that was another suggestion of yours, wasn't it, Mike?
Yeah, that movie's awesome, but in a different way. He was also the star of Soderbergh's movie King of the Hill back when he was a little kid.
Oh, that was him.
I've heard about that movie. Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
It's not really good, but it's really interesting as far as like Soderbergh's career evolution is concerned. I would recommend watching it for that.
I like I said before, a big draw for me was with a lot of the actors that I saw in this movie. A large majority of them are from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and a big reason for that is because, and funny that Kirsten Dunst's character's name is Torrance, because the school that they shoot at is actually Torrance High School. They also shot 90210 there in its original incarnation.
And you know where I know this kid from? Her little brother? He was in Not Another Teen Movie. Which is a derivative of this movie. I was like,
that's right.
Yeah. It took me a little while to place him because he's so much younger here.
But Eliza Dushku and Claire Kramer and Nicole Bilderback, who is the Asian girl that you mentioned before, they're all in Buffy in one point or another.
Cool.
So yeah, like I it's kind of it's kind of, because they shot at this school, Buffy also shot there. So they probably shot this school in like sort of like the off season in like 99, 2000, because by that point Buffy wasn't shooting there anymore.
In researching this movie, I did find some interesting things about it. Apparently, the movie was like the sleeper hit of the year. Like it didn't cost that much to make, but ended up making almost $70 million at the U.S. box office and a combined worldwide total of about $90 million.
Yeah,
so,
there's a reason there are like 4 or 5 sequels at this point.
Well, speaking of the sequels, I'm going to read them off. Okay, in 2004, we had Bring It On Again. And then in 2006, Bring It On, All or Nothing. 2007, Bring It On, In It to Win It. And then 2009 was Bring It On, Fight to the Finish. So like American Pie, it has all these straight-to-video sequels that really don't have any correlation to the original.
That's Universal for you, right? That's their thing.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Whatever works.
So, I don't know. I find Jesse Bradford's character to be interesting because he's kind of like he's not, the movie's not told from his perspective, but he is sort of like the conduit for
the audience.
People, well, not for for the audience as in like us, I mean, like it's geared towards, teen girls, and they're not going to relate to this dude, but people like Peyton Reed, I get the impression that he essentially is, the Peyton Reed of this movie. You know what I mean? Like
Mary Sue kind of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like he's the guy who needs to be convinced, just like, sort of our demographic needs to be convinced of what this movie is selling.
Yeah, like this is a legitimate kind of a thing to, the cheerleading is kind of a legitimate competition type thing.
Right. Yeah.
To be taken seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the brother and sister, the Pantones, like they both suit that well as being like these outsiders looking in at this and at first dismissing it and in fact being opposed to it.
These two assholes on screen are really funny.
and then realizing the value in it by the end, which I think is a good sort of surrogate for the audience.
Yeah, I think
one thing that I think makes this movie work too is that it's really good casting in that like all of the actors are really sincere and charming and earnest. And my favorite parts of this movie are I really like the chemistry between Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Bradford. Mm-hmm. Just anytime they're on screen together, I'm just totally.
Oh, I love the toothbrushing sequence. I thought that was. When it was coming up, I was like, oh, are they going to do it where she comes in and they kind of have like toothbrush sex, and they did. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I wish I would have thought of that. And,
now,
this scene here was like parodied and Not Another Teen Movie. Mm-hmm. So as I was watching it, I was like, "Oh man, Not Another Teen Movie completely ripped this off."
And this is a scene which I think does not work.
Really, I found it quite funny.
I mean,
I like this blonde girl. I thought she was really funny.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of funny and stuff, but it's not consistent at all. I mean, like you've got like all these people who are coming in, like the dude who's doing ballet and the rapper and all this stuff, and then they get to the end and there's the guy who's like singing. I forget what it was.
He's singing a Broadway tune. Well, I think what it is too is that he at least like references the fact that he's obviously made a mistake and he's
in the wrong place.
In the wrong place. I think the problem with this gag is, I mean, I agree. I think it's funny, but I think the problem is that they're all in the wrong place, and it should be immediately obvious the second they walk in.
Right.
Yeah, but
So how did we even get here? It is very broad.
Well, it is so funny though.
But
yeah,
I mean, just
the other
the way that it's cut, I mean, like they stop that one dude and they're like, "Excuse me, what are you doing here?" And it's like, the way that it plays, it's like that's the only guy who's here for the wrong thing, and that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. They should have just cut that out, and then it would have been fine, I guess.
Well, I think the other important thing to note too is that this was originally supposed to be an R-rated comedy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they had, because of the characters being young, they wanted to get as many butts in seats as possible and appeal to a wider demographic, so it had to be watered down basically to a PG-13 film. And so that's why, it's like you have the obligatory locker room scene, but nobody gets naked.
Okay, so this was in like the script stage or something like that this happened.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Okay.
I believe, if I remember correctly, Peyton Reed mentions that on his commentary, where it had started out in the script writing process. Originally, it was intended to be an R-rated film.
Okay.
That would have been interesting to see an R-rated version of this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the writing, this was written by Jessica Bendinger, who's actually from my hometown of Oak Park, Illinois.
Hey, look at that.
What else has she written?
Not much. What she
I believe she also wrote Stick It.
Yeah, and she directed that too.
Oh, isn't that like gymnastics or something?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And then
it's basically like sort of like the sister film to this.
Yeah, and she's written a couple of other things, but nothing tremendously noteworthy. So yeah, Oak Park, home of Ernest Hemingway, Edgar Rice Burroughs, and Jessica Bendinger.
Here comes Eliza Dushku.
Yes, this is a great entrance.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of characters that actually have make really grand entrances, and Peyton Reed shoots it really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eliza Dushku, she was the daughter in True Lies, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think she was also in, what's that movie called? Bye Bye Love, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
she was
Paul Reiser.
Right, and she really matured.
Yes.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I am a big fan.
She's a very attractive woman. Mm-hmm. She was in The New Guy, I think, as well, and
Yeah.
she was really showing off her body in that one. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm always kind of hesitant when it comes to high school movies, and that's because high school was such a lousy experience for me. So when it came to this, I was like, oh, it's a movie about cheerleaders. I hate cheerleaders. In high school, it's a requirement. If you're a nerd and you're ugly, you're not popular, you have to hate cheerleaders, and they hate you back. That's just how it works. It's a part of the rules, right? So,
yeah. Again, that was not my experience.
Yeah, you and I have talked about that, John, and apparently you went to high school utopia. So
in my high school, everybody was more sort of laid back, and everybody had their own groups that they traveled in, but other people were allowed to come in and as well. Like, it wasn't mutually exclusive, and the cheerleaders were actually really nice to me. They were good people. Actually, I had a class with I think she was the head cheerleader. She ended up becoming the prom queen. Her name was Lindsay. She was really sweet, really silly. Names like Chester made her laugh.
okay.
But yeah, really, really sweet girl. So there was never, I didn't experience this where, cheerleaders were a bunch of, catty, dumb bitches. Mm-hmm. That was not my experience in high school. Pretty much everybody across the board was really nice and friendly. And I think for me,
that just sounds like the Twilight Zone.
Right. Well, for me, when people talk about, these horrible experiences in high school and how much of a nightmare it is and how, socially, cruel it can be, that more happened to me, in 5th and 6th grade. And so when I got to high school, everything was fine. 5th and 6th grade was when I was, worried about getting beat up and things like that.
I think it's a nice little bit of visual aesthetic that they're both wearing. Well, Eliza Dushku's not on screen yet, but they're both wearing black shirts. Right, you'll see her. She has a blue logo. He has a white logo. And
yeah.
See,
well, her shirt cracks me up because it's a picture of the Buddha, and on his stomach, which just happens to be across her chest, it says "Rub here for good luck."
Yeah, I just noticed
that's
that
what
when
it
I was
says?
watching that today. I was like, interesting.
I love that. That's so funny.
Yeah, I don't understand why Kirsten Dunst is wearing her uniform in this scene. I mean, like, I know that she was wearing it in the last scene, but I don't understand why any of them were wearing their uniforms for the tryouts.
Well, it's a movie. But, like I mentioned, at my high school, I mean, it wasn't the same for me as it was for you, John. But if you weren't a jock, then the cheerleaders wouldn't talk to you. And they wore their uniforms everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
They did it just to state the fact that I'm a cheerleader, I'm better than you.
Well, I mean, at my high school, typically if a cheerleader showed up to school in her uniform, it was because either she had practice that day or there was a pep rally going on, and it's just easier to just go about the day in your uniform than to find time to change, I suppose.
Yeah, at my school, it was on game days. They would all wear them, just like, the football players would wear their jerseys or suits and ties or whatever. It was just part of the team spirit building. And at my high school, it was weird because there was sort of this, like, competitive cheerleading thing going on. There were two groups. There were the cheerleaders, but then there was the drill team. And the drill team were the serious ones, and everyone loved them because they had shorter skirts. But they would get, like, really mad if you called them cheerleaders because that was beneath them, They were part of this competitive thing, which was something more or whatever.
Oh, that's interesting.
They took it as an insult, huh?
Yeah, they did. They would get really offended if you called them cheerleaders.
Well, as I'm looking at Kirsten Dunst, I mean, she looks pretty young here. I mean, she was at the time. I mean, how do you guys feel she did in this movie overall?
I generally like Kirsten Dunst, and I there are some things I like her better in other things. I feel she does fine in the Spider-Man films. I think the problem is she's supposed to be playing Mary Jane Watson when she's actually playing Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
I like this little bit here with she actually gets out to challenge her. She's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to kick your ass. And she's like, oh, shit. You really? Okay.
Yeah, I love that. Like, when she gets up, she's like, I'm actually not going to do anything.
Yeah, I think she's good in this movie. I mean, I think that everyone's pretty much good in this movie. We were talking before about the chemistry between her and Jesse Bradford, and I think that's key to this movie's success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like anytime these two are in a scene together, or there's a scene between Kirsten and Jesse, like I'm just totally on board.
All right.
That is like, I mean, like I like the movie overall in general, but like those are like the standout moments for me.
Here we go. Gabrielle Union. What do you guys think?
She's like 10 years older than everyone else in this movie, but she still
point.
pulls it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
she's good.
Well,
I think a problem though is she's not in the movie enough.
Good. Yeah, that's true. But she's incredibly beautiful. Yes, but I didn't like the way they painted her character. I thought she was a little too,
Mean.
Yeah, too much of a bitch.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I was going to get to that. That's a bit of a problem for me with this group, with the Clovers, is that they are a little too mean for too much of the film because Torrance, it's obvious that Torrance and her group didn't know that they had stolen these routines, and it was all Big Red's thing, and she hadn't told anyone. And so I don't like that they punish Torrance and her group for someone else's actions.
Yeah, right.
For someone else's lone actions.
yeah,
And
they were just being
and
mean
later-
for mean's sake,
Exactly, and later on in the film, when Torrance, every single turn, she tries to, like, distance herself from Big Red's actions and be, a good person and do what she feels is right and necessary, it gets thrown back in her face. And I don't agree with that. Like, I feel it's like, okay, look, you don't have to accept what she's trying to do. It's like, if you feel it's a form of charity and you feel you can, get to nationals or whatever it is on your own, that's fine. But recognize it as a good deed, as a selfless act. That's the important thing.
Yeah, in that scene, I was expecting her to, and I was a bit disappointed that maybe it wouldn't have come across in the scripts, in terms of dialogue, but I was kind of hoping it would show a little bit on Gabrielle Union's face when Kirsten Dunst's character, offered that money, Like, maybe you could see a little subtle hint of gratitude from Gabrielle Union, but she didn't. And it's not her fault. It's the direction that she got. Because, no spoil to anybody that, that at the end of the movie they resolve their conflict. And this movie has a Bad News Bears ending where
it does. But I feel like, like I said, it comes a little too late, because it isn't until the film is almost over, and they go up to each other and they're giving each other pointers. But even initially at the top of that scene, Gabrielle Union is just like, like, what are you even doing here? Don't talk to me. Don't give me pointers. But then she, just takes it anyway, and then they're giving each other pointers, and like, that's all well and good. I wish they had sort of come to that more gradually and more organically, as opposed to, the movie's almost over, they're friends now.
Yeah, I like this. When we entered into this scene, Eliza Dushku is all revved up. She's like, "Holy shit, we almost got our asses kicked back there," and I found that this exciting. It kind of reminded me of the scene in Rules of Attraction. I don't know if have either of you seen that?
Yeah,
there's a scene when James Van Der Beek goes. I think his name is Thomas Ian Nichols or something.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to get a couple of grams of coke, and he ends up stealing it, and they have to make a run for it. And they almost died getting this cocaine, and James Van Der Beek is just so revved up. He's like, "Holy shit, that was fucking awesome!" But the other guy's like scared shitless. But I like this bit here with the spirit stick. I don't think they played it up enough.
Really,
the whole curse thing. I felt it was a little too much in the periphery for too much of the movie.
Well, I think that was fine, because, obviously there isn't really a curse. I mean, just that's in the back of her mind or whatever, I think is, enough.
I wanted it to be a little bit more present, but this is great. They're all falling in slow motion to go after the spirit stick.
I think that was probably the point, actually, and Missy, actually says it a couple of times where, like, this is nothing. Like, just shit happens.
It's a superstition, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here, wait,
Yeah,
hold on. Goes to Hades.
Well, I love that it still has the like that southern twang to her voice that the character has.
Yeah.
So it's all goes to Hades,
Oh yeah, right. That was like one of my laugh out loud moments while watching this movie. Because, like I said, I really did enjoy it. I was really quite surprised. So. Oh, this is good.
Of course, we got to get a fart joke in here.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's hard to pull off fart jokes. Most of them are incredibly unfunny, but this one actually works.
This one made me laugh because
she sells it.
I did not see it coming.
Right. I thought he genuinely had something important to tell us. I also like that he makes the effort to like
jump up,
boost himself up on the counter, and yeah.
Right. Speaking of this other actor, the actor who's playing her boyfriend, who's now off in college, and I thought he was gay because it's played up that he's gay, right? I thought he was gay from the get-go. Like, right when I saw him pull up in his Jeep, I was like, "Oh, this guy's gay," and that's gonna come up later. But it turns out he isn't, right?
Yeah.
But he's just cheating on her. But
have you
that actor died?
Really?
Yes, he died at the age of.
I forgot about that.
He died at the age of 34 because I was researching the movie, and I checked out his credit, and it said date of birth, then date of death. I was like, wow, he died. I was like, that's so sad. And because I was trying to find out what he'd been in recently. And because I did recognize him, and what I recognized him from was actually a made for Showtime, I think, movie called Teenage
Caveman.
Yeah.
I love that
Oh my
movie's
God.
existence. I'm not going to say I love the movie, but I love its existence. Yes.
Well, that's something.
Well, I mean, it's just such a weird, crazy thing. It's like,
Yeah, I
what
remember
if-
it being really fucked up.
Well, it's by the guy who did
Yeah.
Kids, you know, and it's like
Larry Clark.
Yeah, Larry
those are the
Clark.
movies that he makes,
And it's
yeah.
like, let's do that only, you know, as a B monster movie.
Well, you know who else makes weird stuff? Greg Akari.
Yeah.
Greg Araki.
Araki.
Yeah.
Well, he did a movie that I really like. 2 movies that I really like. Mysterious Skin and Smiley Face.
Yep.
I don't.
I think Mysterious Skin is his. I'm a Greg Araki fan.
Well,
I
that's
think
his Driving
Mysterious
Miss Daisy.
Skin is his most important film, and I think Smiley Face is his best film, his most accessible.
Well, to anybody out there who doesn't know, Greg Araki did the Doom trilogy, the Doom generation, and whatnot. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen one of his movies all the way through.
I remember I think Nowhere was the last one in that trilogy. I saw that, and I was really young, and I was like, this movie's fucked up. So I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah.
But,
in fact, one of his earlier films, which I think is part of that trilogy, is called Totally Fucked Up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's get back on the movie here.
Yes.
Eliza Dushku,
and
making
right here,
her-
of course,
Yeah, making her entrance in the uniform.
Dushku doing her thing.
So this is kind of a weird thing about this movie. It has sort of a Charlie Brown quality to it, where there's like no parents except for hers, which is weird. Why would they do that? I don't know. I mean, you never see Eliza Dushku's parents. You never see any like faculty advisors or anything like that. It's like they seem to make a conscious effort to not have adults in this world. And yet,
Well, that's one of the things about this director, Peyton Reed. Like with Down with Love, when I immediately saw his credit as director, I was like, oh yeah, it all makes sense, because he will just totally envelop you in a whole universe and will take no prisoners. And that's what this movie does. You know, just like, this movie is about cheerleading. We take it seriously, and it's a little tongue in cheek, but if you don't get it, then that's that.
Yeah, I think what it is that, you know, teenagers, they don't want to see parents, they don't want to see adults. So so they go to a movie that's going to be populated by teenagers.
Yeah.
So we get this little interaction by adults and parentals and authority figures as possible. And also, since Missy and Torrance are sort of the main characters, we do see a little bit from Torrance's parents, and Missy's parents are conveniently out of town, so it's not so much an issue. And also, I'm sure they don't want to overpopulate the movie with too many characters.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like really conspicuous to see her parents when there is like no one else. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's just teenage movies in general. If you go back and look at a lot of them, you'll start to notice that they make a conscious choice to have as few adults in them as possible.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like The Breakfast Club. You know, I mean, there's Principal Vernon, but you only see the parents at the beginning. But other than that, it's just the teenagers. You know,
that's kind of how the movie is structured, though. Too, like there wouldn't be any parents there.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Watching the scene at the football game, even though I kind of dissed my high school experience, The Naked Ape, I read that. I did. But I kind of dissed my high school experience. Believe it or not, I was a football player for my freshman year of high school.
Get him!
Yeah. And these like night games, with when you got a whole stadium full of people, was really exciting. And I wasn't any good. I mean, I'm a lousy athlete. I didn't realize it back then. This moment's fucking hilarious.
right here, where you
one
see the
guy
yellow
just, like,
flag.
totally just jumps up and wraps his legs around him and just
This shot with
goes at him.
the yellow flag that just flies up in the air. That's comedy gold right there. Yeah, they don't know how to shoot football in this movie, which is really weird because they're really good at shooting the cheerleading, and you'd think that it would be sort of like the same discipline, but no.
Look at these cheerleaders. Why don't they have like a insignia on their shirts? They're just blank.
Budget.
Because they're from the other school, so they're not as important, I guess.
Still. Yeah, but it was exciting to be at a night game with the whole crowd cheering you, and I remember it being a lot of fun. So whenever I see a scene like this, it usually takes me back. And even though, like I said, I wasn't any good, it was fun to be there at least. And I just love this. Like, nobody really cares that this team is getting their ass handed to them right now.
Yeah.
They just I think the final score is like 42-0.
Yeah.
At the end, and yeah, I found that pretty goddamn funny.
The scene coming up where she has cheer sex with him, like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing revolutionary or anything like that, but like the editing in it is like really kind of complex and interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it's nothing special, but there's like so many like moving parts in the scene. He's got like dollies in, and he's changing like shot scale and stuff like that, and then you're cross-cutting between what is going on with this girl and the dude sticking his fingers up her shorts and stuff like that, and it's really weird that it like comes together so
You're right.
perfectly.
You're right. It's like these little subtle things, and that's
It's
what
just-
makes this movie so much better than it should have been, like on concept, And a lot of the critics kind of commented on that. And let me see. I'm on Wikipedia right now. Cultural historian Maud Lavin says that despite Bring It On's predictable plot, its depiction of aggressive and competitive women, the differences shown between class and race, and the playful way it deals with homophobia gives it deeper cultural clout and meaning. In particular, Lavin says that the film suggests race relations could be smooth and transcended through level playing field sports competitiveness. And you know what Roger Ebert said about this movie? He said it is the Citizen Kane of cheerleading movies.
Well, he's right about that. I don't
Yep.
agree with
Yep,
a lot
that's
of
true.
what Roger Ebert says. I think that he's kind of lost
Well,
it.
I'm a fan of Roger Ebert. If one could be a fan of a film critic, I mean,
Oh, you can
Yeah,
totally be a
I
fan
have
of
like a
film
number
critic.
of those. I have a number of those big video yearbook books that he would put out that have like a ton of his reviews.
Oh,
And those things are like bigger than a phone book. You could kill a man with them.
Yeah.
I have two of his review books and his recent release, Life Itself. So yeah, I'm a dork for.
I'm
for
just
that.
Yeah.
sick and tired of him like saying stupid stuff, like factually inaccurate stuff, and then not bothering to correct himself when everyone points out that he's wrong. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just
No, I actually like, as much of a fan as I am of the man. Like, I agree with you.
Well,
that,
honestly, I think he's just unreachable. He's untouchable. He's been in the game for so long. He is the world's most famous film critic, and nothing can touch him now. He's beyond it.
I love that. I love that even the crowd raises their
Yeah, they
hands.
do.
yeah.
I like this right here. He's just like, dude, you lost. And they still don't get it when they walk away. They're like, oh yeah. And they don't have a comeback.
He's got us there.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy this whole sleepover bit, even though it is funny.
It seems really quick. Like, I mean, I do like how, especially by the end of the movie, like, this outsider becomes her, like, confidant and stuff like that, and, like, she's the one who she pulls off to the side, when she's freaking out about their routine being the same as that other team's routine, But it's a really, really quick transition from, someone who's not at all into cheerleading to being like the best friend of the captain. And also, I don't buy her still join, like, after they decide to just go with it, and use the stolen routines, and they ask her, like, are you still in? And she's like, whatever. And I don't buy her doing that. I think she would have been out instantly,
Well, no, I think by that point she is friends with Torrance, and she doesn't have any other friends. Is the other important thing.
But is she really?
But
I mean, what did they do? They went to, like, a high school together. That's it,
Well, I just mean that like they've been they've been hanging out at a lot at this by that point, and they've become friends. The other thing too is that I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it!
Sorry.
I was a little distracted. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, yeah. What point?
A lot of pretty girls running around in their pajamas.
Here it is. The toothbrush sucks.
Yeah, it's great. It's really good editing. I just love all these little like glances that they give each other, except for the fact that they're not brushing their teeth the right way. They're going back and forth, and you're supposed to go up and down.
Oh well, yeah, you're a real stickler for details.
I do remember when I first saw this movie, there was like a girl sitting behind me, and throughout this entire scene she kept on whispering to her friend. Like at the beginning they're like, why aren't they spitting? How come they're not going to spit? And then they finally start spitting, and she's like, oh, thank God. It's like, okay, I don't understand why you're commenting on this, but
why that's a big. It's like give it a minute, and it'll be fine.
But this scene.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say that scene's like totally reliant on the performances, and they pull it off. They are really good actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Eliza Dushku was going to say something here like, why did you just get in bed with me?
Yeah.
I thought they were going to make a thing out of it, but they didn't. Like, you brought a sleeping...
I'm sorry, I thought that was my leg.
I thought she was going to say, you brought a sleeping bag, you dyke. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh. I like that dissolve. That's great.
Yeah, that was nice. This guy, Jesse Bradford, he kind of reminds me of like Paul Rudd, kind of circa Clueless here.
Yeah, a little bit. I can see that.
Yeah, this actor, he's the one who died young, unfortunately.
He's not tremendously good, but it works for this movie.
Well, I remember him being really effective in Teenage Caveman. I can't believe I even remembered him from that movie because I saw it so long ago. The only reason I remembered it was because it was so fucked up.
I love that she's just like she looks at the little clock. She's like, "Why are we still? Oh God, go to sleep. It's too early. How can you be this perky in the morning?"
This movie does do a good job. I think Peyton Reed talked about this on the commentary or something like that, how the movie sort of like takes on the personality of cheerleaders. It has kind of an over-caffeinated feel to it, Well,
yeah, I mean, the colors are very saturated, which he also does that again in Down with Love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I told you. I mean, like, when I was watching this, I felt the movie was on cocaine,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I thought that was maybe an effect of the fact that I was drinking a lot of coffee when I was watching it, but I was like, no, this movie just never lets you breathe.
I like going back to that opening scene. I mean, that's how you start a movie, I mean, it just hits the ground running. It doesn't let up. I really like it when movies do that.
Yeah, hits the ground running. I like that. That's good. That's a good phrase.
I'm still trying to think back to what the rest of my thought was from earlier. Because I know I had a point. I was going somewhere with that.
Compared to all these other... okay, go ahead.
I remembered what it was. The other thing, too, is that, in the Missy, she sort of catches the fever. Like, she gets wrapped up in the thrill of the crowd and everybody's cheering. And so she kind of like sees the value in cheerleading at that point. Where no, this is fun. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's fine and everything. I guess what I'm saying is like, she, they invite her onto the team. She realizes that they stole their routines. She takes Torrance to East Compton, and then the next morning, Torrance is like, dude, guess what I saw last night, to the team. And the team's like, well, let's just go with it and use those routines anyway. And then they ask they ask Missy if she's still in, and Missy says, sure, fine, whatever. And like, that's...
You expected her to bail at that moment. I'm not going to be a part of this.
Yeah, and that's before she, does anything with them. I don't buy that at all.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I like the fact that... Sorry, I like this joke. I like the fact that they never really make an issue out of it. Like, let's not talk about the fact that you like my sister and vice versa. It's like they just address it right here off the bat. He's like, he came here to stare at your rack, and they make a go of it, and they're like, okay, we're not going to play the normal teenage movie route where they won't admit their feelings for each other. You know, it reminded me of a recent movie called Sex Drive. You guys seen that?
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I think there's a line in there when the main friend of the movie is commenting on the fact that the main character has a crush on the girl, and he's like, "Oh, you knew?" He's like, "Oh, come on, it's completely obvious. What else did you expect to happen?" You know, it's just like, you know, it's obviously, you know, it's going to be the plot of this movie. You know, it's kind of poking fun at formulas, you know, and I like the way they did it here.
Yeah, I didn't care for that movie.
Really? I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was funny, but like all the sincere moments just rang totally hollow for me. Like, I felt the movie was too mean-spirited.
Oh, I liked it. You know what was disappointing that came out in that same year, I think, was I Love You, Beth Cooper.
Haven't seen it, but I've heard it's not good.
It's not good.
I read the book before I knew it was going to be a movie, and the book was fucking hilarious. So I was really excited, and when I saw the movie, I was really let down.
Oh, that's a shame.
This guy here is great.
Apparently, he's from one of the shows that Peyton Reed did back in the day. I don't know, what did he do? Like, I forget. You know, was it like Upright Citizens Brigade? What? I don't know. I don't know any of those Comedy Central shows. What did he do?
I think it was Upright Citizens Brigade. I think that's right.
Yeah, but he was an actor on one of those.
I think John is Googling right now.
Actually, no.
That's me. I'm Googling.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if you guys remember, but right after this movie came out, like, Peyton Reed was attached to direct the Fantastic Four.
Really?
I do remember that. Yeah,
would have been awesome. He's also the guy.
So.
He directed the stuff with Christopher Lloyd at the head of the Back to the Future cartoons, and he also directed the pre-show for the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios. Upright Citizens Brigade, that was it, and Mr. Show with Bob and David, and the Weird Al Show.
As he goes through all these various cheerleaders, then they just panned up to Kirsten Dunst here. I mean, she just looks so young in comparison to all these. She looks like a child.
Yeah, I think Kirsten and Eliza were probably the few actual teenagers in this movie.
Yeah, most of them were older.
You know, and I was fooled. I was fooled by this guy because, you know, immediately comes on. You're like, okay, this guy's up to no good for some way. And I was like, but what is it? And I was fooled. I thought, oh, maybe he really was genuine, you know. But then it turns out, no, he's not.
Well, I do like the line. It's my favorite line in the movie. Is cheerleaders are dancers who have gone retarded.
No, yeah, that's a great line. Yeah, there's so many good one-liners in this movie.
I mean, everything that he says in this scene is, you know, where he's talking about like cheerleading is a tiny subset of dancing and everything like that. Like, it's like legitimate to some extent, you know. It's kind of, again, like what the
yeah, like that fat people don't go as high. Sorry.
It's like what the movie is, you know, or what a good portion of the audience would assume the movie. Or let me start over. I'm sorry. It's
coming up when he flicks Eliza in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, on the soundtrack, there's this little bing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it cracks me up.
What do you think he was? Do you think he's taking like amphetamines or something when he gulped down all those pills?
Here it comes. I just love that she just wakes up. He keeps messing with her, and she so wants to kick his ass.
This.
Yeah, he was probably taking amphetamines of some kind.
I couldn't help but think of the scene in American Wedding. Do you guys recall the dance sequence in the nightclub?
Oh yeah,
yeah. The guy. It's because, you know, he's, you know, it's a very flamboyant kind of masculine looking. Well, not masculine. Well, masculine man, but he's acting very feminine, like this guy here, and he's doing a dance routine. So it just automatically reminded me of that.
Guys like this exist.
Spirit fingers
everywhere, I mean,
well, you know what I find funny is even though he is, peddling his shtick to a lot of teams, he still busts his ass.
Yeah, he is.
Like,
he's
like
working
he still
hard.
takes it very seriously and works. I find that.
Well,
funny.
See, that's why I was fooled.
He's under the
true.
impression that he's the best, and he doesn't have time for people who don't think that he's the best, and he needs to make sure that everyone knows that he's the best. And I don't think that he thinks that what he's doing is wrong. He's just, he's saying like, look, you're going to hire me because I'm the best.
Okay, I thought that was the Hollywood sign back there for a second. This is one of my favorite scenes. Just these two are so good together.
Oh, you really like their chemistry, I can tell.
Yeah, no, I think it's one of the highlights of the movie for me, and I think it really drives a lot of the. Like, I feel really bad for him, well, for both of them when, when they're basically on the outs with each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good sign. They want you to feel that way. I mean, even though of course, in the end they're going to get together anyway. But it's always a good sign of good filmmaking when you are emotionally affected like that. I guess I didn't mind. I didn't like their dynamic as much as you did, but I kind of prefer Jesse Bradford in Eulogy. He was in there with Zooey Deschanel. I thought they had good chemistry together.
I'll have to check that out.
That is an excellent film. Anybody listening, I highly recommend it. It does not have a large audience, so please watch it.
Is that the one that was written by Nicholas Meyer? No.
I don't think so.
I'm thinking of Elegy.
Okay.
Slightly different, I guess, right?
Well, it sounds similar. Yeah, it's like Final Destination and The Final Destination. You got to read the fine print.
Right. This scene is something that, I imagine, there's a lot of scenes like this in movies that work well on paper that when they actually shoot them turn out to be, rather weak, like any scene that takes place at a comic book convention in any movie. But here, I think they do a good job of pulling it off.
Yeah, it's like, I want to hear, like, you're the best around, from the Karate Kid. But it's like, yeah, it's like, this reminds me of the film Little Miss Sunshine, when they go to the beauty pageant at the end. Like, everyone is taking it so seriously, and they're all getting ready, and the mothers and the kids are all taking it so seriously. But, here, everyone, of course, is taking it seriously in Little Miss Sunshine.
This is great.
Oh, with the little girl.
The little girl, yeah.
I really like this blonde actress. I can't remember her name offhand, but she gets around. I like her in this movie. She has a good character. What else has she been in? Do you guys remember?
No, I don't.
Yeah, who can cop to this kind of a thing? Reading about in the news, parents going ape shit.
Oh, yeah, I used to be an umpire for T-ball, and this shit happened all the time.
Oh, man.
You just want to punch him in the face, really.
Well, you just want to say, dude, settle down. It's a game.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, early on, in the beginning of the movie, there was a reference to the famous woman from Texas who hired Hitman to kill a rival cheerleader in so that her daughter would have a better shot.
Is that what the movie the alleged Texas cheerleading murdering mom was based off of?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, isn't it like the positively true adventures of the alleged Texas cheerleading murdering mom? I think that's the full title, something like that.
I'm glad you committed to that because I would not have bothered.
I think it's Holly Hunter's in it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good that I can still remember useless information like that. Well, have you guys ever watched real cheerleading competitions on TV?
I think maybe once after this movie, like when I was flipping through channels, it came on, and I quickly lost interest. But
Well, I've been sucked into watching a few in the past. I mean, and they really do. They really do a lot of elaborate shit, and I'm like, wow, they take this really, really seriously. So I was really quite surprised at the time. I mean, that was many, many years ago, but I found it. Yep.
I wanted to mention because you asked about it earlier. The blonde girl that you keep referring to is Claire Kramer.
You mean her real name is Claire Kramer, or she's okay?
Yeah, she plays Courtney.
Okay.
I love Kirsten Dunst in this scene. This sort of like panicked yet trying to be excited and all cheerful.
Yeah, her performance in this movie really reminds me of her performance in Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a really underrated black comedy.
That's hilarious.
It didn't do well, and I own it. And I remember I watched it, rewatched it like a year ago, and I was like, man, I forgot how damn funny this movie is. It really is. It's kind of a hidden gem. It's not stellar or anything, but it's fun. It's definitely worth a watch. Okay, so they just saw the spirit fingers. Yeah. I definitely gained a new respect for cheerleading after watching this movie. Because like I said, I was not a fan of I was not a fan of cheerleaders in high school. But and I'm generally not a fan of films that's, well, most films star beautiful people, of course, because actors and actresses generally have to be photogenic. But in a movie with exceptionally attractive people everywhere, it just makes me feel really bad about myself. I'm like, ugh. They have perfect teeth, perfect skin. Their ears don't look too big, and they don't have odd shaped heads like I do. They just look perfect. So I get jealous, and then I start to hate myself. I'm like, ugh.
Well, I mean, if you had a personal trainer, a nutritionist, and hundreds of dollars worth of
it wouldn't matter. It would
hair and makeup products.
It would make a difference for me, John. But I appreciate it.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, it's just I have an odd shaped face and head. I guess I guess you could say. It just doesn't. It's not very aesthetically pleasing. But that's another story. Not to bring the commentary down, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know what to do here.
I don't know what to say about that. No.
Look, man, there are beautiful women prancing around in short skirts. Okay, let's focus here. Let's get a hold of our priorities.
Let's accentuate the positive here.
The sound design in this movie is pretty good too for what it is. Like they kind of like reinforce the idea, because I mean most people don't know what makes a good cheerleading routine or anything like that, right? But I mean, like when you see something like this compared to what the Clovers just did, I mean obviously the choreography is a little over the top, but they also sort of like scale back the music and what have you. It's not quite as enveloping. There isn't as much bass or whatever. It's not as sort of visceral as the good routines, and I think that's kind of like an interesting way to sort of like have the audience subliminally key in on what's supposed to be good and what's not.
I'm sorry, I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the movie.
It's cool.
I found it just funny, all the reactions on the people's faces, but the fact that all these cheerleaders know that their routine is going badly, but they all have that mentality of the show must go on.
Yeah, there's the one with Casey was like, "Go Toros." It's so sad.
Deciding, this movie is actually aged very well. It's over 10 years old.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, look at other movies from that year, and so many movies are made, they just get forgotten. But John told me this movie just got released on a 10th anniversary disc, edition.
Oh, really? Oh,
Well, there was a 10th anniversary, like, sort of celebration.
Oh, I see.
Or awareness. And the thing that pissed me off was that nobody took that opportunity to, like, release it on Blu-ray.
yeah, didn't they, like, show it in, like, a theater or something like that somewhere?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And now I know they're trying to do a Bring It On the musical.
Yeah, apparently there's a music.
I read that. Yeah, it's starting up actually this month.
But there's some, like, for some reason, I don't know exactly what the deal is, but, like, the WGA is trying to block it or something. I don't understand.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I just read something on
Right.
Jessica Bendinger's Twitter feed, but she was saying no
Is
comment.
she upset or something?
I think so.
Is she not involved?
I think she was like, yes, it's true, and I can't comment on it, or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, well, that's too bad.
Yeah. See, like this scene, this is where it seems weird to me that there's not, like, a coach on their team,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand why
That
there's not,
yeah,
but-
that is a.
It's that Charlie Brown thing you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right. There would be just someone to, like, manage it, because I mean they're all teenagers. They're a group of high school kids.
Yeah.
They would not be unsupervised.
Yeah, but then again, if there was an adult present, it would just totally tilt the balance in this movie and throw it off.
The movie would be ruined.
Completely, yeah. Yeah, I don't think she's a natural redhead. Is she?
Well, she is. Isn't she redhead in, like, Horrible Bosses and stuff? No?
I don't know. In the Wonder Years, she wasn't. But I haven't seen Horrible Bosses.
That's not bad. It's by the guy who did King of Kong.
King of Kong?
Yeah, King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters.
That's what I thought you were referencing. I was just
Yeah.
making sure. Okay. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it. But I've heard it's quite good.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe not. She looks like kind of a brunette in these pictures. I'm cheating and going on the IMDb. I'm sorry.
Enough. That's okay. Feel free.
Lindsay Sloan.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. No, I think she. Yeah. Okay.
How do you think Kirsten Dunst, her career is gone? How do you think she's doing these days?
Well, I mean, after Spider-Man, after those films, like, she's probably doing just fine. And she was recently in, I think it was a Lars von Trier film called Melancholia.
Yeah, she survived that. She was on stage sitting next to Von Trier when he did his little rant, so if she can survive that
whole
she
thing.
can survive anything.
Yeah.
Which,
Whoa,
I don't know.
Wait.
Have you guys seen that video?
Well, apparently,
Wait. What rants?
hold on. Well, apparently she's actually gotten some notoriety for her performance in that movie.
Yeah.
So
It just came out like
she's
last
doing
week,
just
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but she's, like, sitting there next to him through the whole thing, and she just looks like she wants to be anywhere else in the world other than up on that stage. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
I've not seen it, but I've heard the audio. Yeah, he did not. He that was not his finest hour.
Well, I really like this scene here. I mean, even though it's kind of a cliche of teenage love stories, but the fact that they've never actually said it out loud, really, the fact that we like each other.
Mm-hmm.
He's come over, he has flowers and a mixtape, and they both know that they like each other. And
What I like about it too is that it's subverted, because usually it's the guy will mess up and try to win her back, but I like that
it's reversed.
Yeah.
I remember when audio tapes existed.
Yeah, remember those?
I just
Yeah.
read on the digital bits that apparently there's a rumor or something going around that all CD production will stop by the end of 2012. Like
I don't
like
know.
audio
I'll
CD,
have to
you know,
wait.
like from the record.
No, I know what you're saying.
I like
Have to-
I like the set
wait and
dressing
see.
back here with all the Wizard of Oz characters.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Earlier, I think they were. Yeah, because they were at Missy's house in her room, and I was surprised that like Missy has a bunch of girly stuff in her room. Like she has like Hello Kitty, paraphernalia. Like,
I think there was some deal. I mean, is Hello Kitty tied to Claire's or something like that? Because you see Claire's stuff all over the place. I have a feeling that's some sort of product placement. Might not be might not be true to the character, but you got to make a buck.
well, no, I mean, I looked at it as like maybe she is kind of secretly, kind of girly.
Yeah.
But she puts on this tough
This facade,
persona.
yeah.
I mean, the tattoo on her arm was not even. She just did that on her arm. It wasn't like an actual tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a poser like those guys in Harold and Kumar. You know which guys I'm talking about?
I do, but I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I was just looking for a way to bring up Harold and Kumar.
Well done.
We missed it earlier when they were doing the audition, but I think my favorite line in this movie is when she says, "This is not a democracy; it's a cheerocracy."
Yeah,
I've
it's
used that-
like, what does that even mean?
I've used that so many times in
Yeah, it's a good
everyday
line.
life.
That's why they ripped it off in Not Another Teen Movie.
See, I haven't
Yeah.
seen
There's
that.
a lot of references to to some of the more clever turns of phrase and wording in this movie, which is kind of one of its standouts.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, I found this movie to be kind of a good marker for its time. Released in 2000. It just
Mm-hmm.
it was like I said, a lot of movies just kind of disappeared, but this one is kind of stuck around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's affected me like, say, The Breakfast Club, but
Right.
I think it definitely made a mark in terms of like the state of teenage films at the time, and the fact that this film kind of rose above the other ones.
Although, I mean, the year before was American Pie, and I guess if there was one movie from that era in that genre that, kind of, it'd probably be that one. Like, if you had to pick just
Yeah.
one.
Well, I think that's the other thing too, is that the teen drama is certainly kind of dead right now. Usually, if there's a movie about teens being made, it's usually a raunchy sex comedy. And this movie is rated PG-13, and it's not obsessed with sex. I mean, there are jokes about sexuality, and the movie is sexy, but it's not. That's not the point of it. It's not the message. It's not just about like people trying to get laid. It's about teamwork and camaraderie and competition and sportsmanship and all that good stuff.
That's Peyton Reed, by the way, the mime.
The mime was.
He's listed in the credits as Silencio por favor, but that's Peyton Reed.
Silence, please. That's funny. Because he's a mime.
Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah, but I find it kind of I don't know, odd. I mean, that guy, the Sparky guy, gave them bad moves, right? He piddled a routine that he piddled across the whole coast, as we'll find out. But they were just copying other people's routines off of TV. It's like they're borrowing other people's routines right now. It's like, what's the difference?
No. What they were getting at with that montage was that they are looking at other forms of expression and dance and movement to help inform and improve what they're going to ultimately do.
Oh, I know. I was just nitpicking.
Well, stop it.
I like this guy's.
Bye-bye.
I like this guy's emotions on his face. I think he did a pretty good job. Emoting. He's been this kind of bright and gay character, so to speak, throughout the film, and then he's just crushed, and then he's gone.
I don't know. To me, he's kind of like a cartoon.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to be.
Mm.
I thought it kind of funny that they brought in this Oprah character.
Yeah.
Didn't Oprah recently go off the air?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she did.
Good.
Ow. What did Oprah ever do to you? Jeez.
And this guy was from Donnie Darko.
Holmes Osborne, yeah.
Yeah, see,
He's
so like
awesome.
everybody in this movie, I was like, I know them from something else. This is amazing.
It's good casting, yeah.
It took me a bit to place him because I kept picturing him in Starship Troopers as the dad in Starship Troopers, but I knew that wasn't right. I like this here. The dad is like, huh? He's like, what? He's like, did this just happen? What's going on? This is too surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just says that. Did that just happen?
And he's like, yep. Sure
I love
did.
it when they acknowledge that in a movie, like the absurdity of what's going on.
Right. Well, just the idea that, it's like Torrance this is not common for her to, and she is totally, I think in that moment she is more cheerleader than she's ever been. She's she's really like aggressive and assertive and kind of just gets in the spotlight there and just, tells her dad what's up.
Yeah.
I like that.
But she's also like, growing as a person. She's using her cheerleading to develop herself.
See, I like Gabrielle Union here. She's not being mean. But then immediately here we get this.
Yeah, this scene's a little harsh. I think. Yeah,
She's just got way too much tood. Like
They all do. It's a little.
look at her body.
I don't
No,
know.
it's like we want you to act like ghetto girls. That's kind of what it feels like to me. I'm like, you don't have to tell them to do that. It just bothers me because I just wanted something more from Gabrielle Union. I'm not incredibly familiar with her resume, but I've seen her in other things. So
I think I'm not to pick on you or anything, but I think it's Gabrielle.
what did I say? Gabrielle?
You've been saying Gabrielle the whole
I'm
time.
sorry.
It's okay.
Leave me alone, man.
It's just
You've
people get
been
my name
picking
wrong
on
all the
you've been
time.
picking
so
on me this whole commentary.
bit of you shut your mouth. You do as you're told. Or it's 5 across the eyes.
I've been to your website. It sucks.
No soup for you.
You gotta love it when you pull out a Seinfeld reference in a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
But yeah, like,
look at that.
in-
You want to
in-
see a little bit more of emotion out of her face, just a little bit, like of regret of having to come off the way she did. But I didn't pick that up.
Early on, Torrance says to Missy, like, I am only cheerleading. Like, basically, like, that's what I am. That's all I have to define myself as. And once, like, she doesn't have a boyfriend anymore, and, cheerleader, or, like, her cheerleading is at stake, and so she's had to sort of kind of, find out what she's made of in other aspects. Then her, like, she really starts to develop an identity for herself outside of cheerleading.
I really like that "you believed in me" line, but this movie has been so kind of tongue-in-cheek and kind of aware of itself, so to speak, that I really expected in that moment when she was confronting him, she pulled off his headphones. I really just expected her to just grab him and just kiss him and said, "I like you, stupid. This is the movie we're in. Don't you know that?" That's just kind of what I expected. But I was like, no, I guess they're saving that for the end. Yeah, she likes you. Duh. Yeah. What's
Well,
Elijah Dushku doing these days?
She's promoting Albania.
Mm-hmm.
That's like her thing.
But yeah, she's Albanian Danish, and she's kind of an ambassador for the for Albania, and
Promoting Albania.
That's her thing.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing these days.
she's working on like a documentary about the place, and she had recently she'd been doing Dollhouse on Fox, she was the voice of Catwoman for the Batman Year One
Yeah,
DC animated film.
that was really good.
So there you go. Yeah, she's around. She's doing stuff.
I recognize this woman. I don't recall her name, but is she familiar to you guys?
Yeah.
I actually, off the top of my head, when I'm remembering her, I think she had a very, very bit role. I'm talking about very bit in what's it called, Sugar and Spice. Is she the one who was? She was the janitor. And she I think she said, like, "Are you cheerleaders or something?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "You sure are." She was like a dyke or something like that. Am I thinking?
Well, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Am I thinking of the wrong? Am I thinking of the wrong actress? I don't know.
I
Let's
saw that movie the day it came out and don't remember it at all.
I like Sugar and Spice, but
You know what the original title of that movie was? Sugar, Spice, and Semi-Automatics.
nice.
Oh yeah.
That's a bit of a mouthful, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, here's where I finally buy their relationship. Oh, I mean, I guess there was some stuff earlier on, but I don't know, like yeah, it took them absolutely no time to be best friends, which was weird.
well,
And
some people.
I
Go ahead.
hate stuff like this in movies, you know. Oh, if only he would have picked up the phone when she... don't do that, you know.
Sure.
If you're going to have real problems, have them. And if you're not, just don't complicate things with coincidence.
Cheerleading is life. Did you see that T-shirts they were wearing?
Yeah.
The parents.
Yeah. The woman who plays Pauletta is Aloma Wright. Sorry.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, Scrubs. She's in
Oh,
Scrubs.
that's who she is. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I knew she was like a receptionist or something behind a desk, and I just couldn't place it.
Mhm.
Okay, that's right. Scrubs.
There you go. Yeah, it was kind of driving me nuts too. I was like, wait a minute.
I used to be addicted to that show. Yeah, what was her character's name?
I think it was either like Lorraine or Laverne.
Laverne. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, this is good. I wish this moment would have came a little sooner.
Yeah.
But she's got that toot on her face. I'm like, stop doing that.
Well, and it's weird because like her friends, quote unquote, even like give her grief about it. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it's like in a weird way, it's like she lies and says like, oh, we just have an understanding, or we just understand each other.
No,
It's like, why can't you just be straight with him and say like, look, she's not a bad person.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's her lying or anything like that. I mean, I think maybe she just came to that realization herself, but, it makes sense that she would be, let's say, above her team, as the captain or whatever, and through dealing with Torrance, I don't know.
See, like I said, I mean, this movie is just so aware of itself. I just half expected her to just say to her squad, "All right, guys, it's the third act of the movie. We have to cut the bullshit now." But
I mean, it makes...
Well, I think you're expecting. I mean, that would be not another teen movie.
oh, I know. That's just because
This is not a spoof.
Yeah,
movie.
I know, but it's because of the way I saw this. I didn't see it before. I saw not another teen movie and all its derivatives, like Fired Up. I saw all those movies before this. So I'm like, oh, this is where all that stuff originated from. It all makes sense now. So
You did that backwards.
it'd be like, okay, I've seen Airplane like more times than I can count, but I've never seen the actual movie that they ripped on.
Airport.
Yeah.
77.
Yeah, I've never seen that. And I don't want to because Airplane stands alone on itself. You know,
I do like this montage. Like they show,
people failing.
yeah, because it's like it's not because it's not everybody up until now has kind of been making it look really easy because we've seen everybody kicking ass. So I like that they balance that, and they show like the teams losing and getting crushed and
Crying, yeah,
and just yeah. I mean I'm sure that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been much of an athlete, like I prefaced earlier, but yeah, it does hurt when you lose in front of a large gathering of people. It does hurt. Yeah.
Diet Coke.
Oh, of course.
For years and years, I just drank like regular Coke, and I like the idea of drinking Diet Coke was just, ridiculous to me. I don't know why anyone would do that. And then I sort of like made a conscious decision to switch, and now I can't drink regular Coke anymore. That's how I know I'm getting old.
I don't even really drink brown sodas anymore. Every once in a while, very rarely. Once I started taking better care of my teeth, I've just stopped drinking a lot of that stuff, and it's just like almost everything has high fructose corn syrup in it now, and that's like one of the worst things you can put in your body.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was kind of the same way for me. Like I used to, I'm a vegetarian, and I remember hearing stories about people who were vegetarians.
No, I was that moment, like the girl shows her face and just like
the blood. Yeah.
But anyway, you were saying.
Fuck it. It's not a good story anyway.
This scene doesn't work for me. I don't.
Why? Why not? He's been. He needs to have a hookup too. What's wrong with that?
Why? No one else does.
Yeah, they do, kinda.
Who? I mean, aside from what the dude, and
I think it's a nice little sweet moment.
I don't know. It just seems really out of place. Like all of these other, little bits are.
You know what I think it is. I think they're doing it to number one, be diverse,
mm-hmm.
and number two, since they've made so many sort of jokes. Not too mean-spirited, but there have been a lot of jokes at the expense of, like homophobia and homosexuality. That they just have this like nice moment where like
that's
to sort of balance it out.
That's totally what it feels like, and like I don't know the jokes. I mean, the jokes are never like they're not making gay jokes. They're making jokes about gay bashing essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so yeah. I don't think you need that, but I think it handles like the whole. That dude in particular, it handles that dude so clunkily. Like when with their conversation in the car, it's like it's so inorganic and everything like that. It's like wow, they're just trying to get this information out, and it's just like pure exposition. And I don't know. That's one element of this movie which doesn't work for me at all.
Yeah, I recall the scene you're talking about in the car. It didn't. You can feel exposition when it's being, fed to you. I didn't really think of it like that at the time, but I definitely can see your reasoning behind it, though. Oh, they're bringing it. Oh, it's already been berated.
I think the original name of this movie was like Cheer Fever or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always like intended to be replaced. It was just they didn't think of anything.
It was more of a working title. Yeah.
Sure.
Whee!
Well, I can't do any of this crap, so I mean, I'm envious.
I think they said on the commentary that like they had advisors brought in to make sure that this routine was slightly better than the Toro's routine,
How do you guys feel about this ending, though? By the way, the fact that the Clovers here win first place. It's a.
I think it's the way to end the movie, because it would feel a little weird if Dunst and her team win and this group doesn't.
Well, you know how formulas go. I mean, it does. People expect, the Toros to win. And it's.
No, I never did, though. I think because like it's almost like saying, like, oh, don't worry, like, you can cheat and steal all you want and lie, as long as you recant at the last minute and pull something out of your ass, you'll win.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they didn't.
Well,
do that.
I'm glad too. Yeah, I'm glad that they went with this ending. The fact that they don't come in first place.
I mean, the thing about it is, it's not like your typical sports movie where you have like the evil, faceless competitor. Like, the Clovers are not bad guys. They're victims, and they're pissed, but they have every right to be pissed. So it's not like the movie doesn't need to punish them by making them lose. They deserve to win. And, for the Toros, who, unlike the Bad News Bears or whatever, they're not underdogs, they are the reigning champions, So what they need, their victory or whatever is not...
Is a personal victory. They don't. That's the thing. It's like they've
Right.
won a bunch before, and they'll probably win a bunch after. So, like, this is just the one moment where they lose, and it's not. And that's the other thing. It's not like Torrance's fault. She's not a bad captain. And the other thing too is, like, if they had won, which means the Clovers lose, it would have felt like a bit of an empty victory here for this team, but wait a minute, the Clovers lost. I can feel kind of bad.
Well, because of that, this is what I expected. Like, they would go with. Well, this is from what I would have expected, because I've been taught this through watching movies all my life, in terms of formula, and I thought, okay, this is what they're going to do. You can't not have the Clovers win or lose. So they're both going to win. They're both going to tie, right, for first place, and they're going to share the trophy.
That would be more expected.
That's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, yeah, the Clovers aren't bad. They're not, they're good people. And I was like, they can't lose. They're not the evil, team in black, in all in black like they are in typical sports films. They're good people, and they've had wrongs done to them. So they shouldn't lose. It's not their fault. So I was like, but the Toros here are good people too. So how can they both lose? So they both have to win. That's how I felt. They're gonna tie. But
I don't buy that the little brother is all supportive and cheering.
Well,
all of a
he
sudden
came around to watch the girls dance around, didn't he?
Also, he got out of school, right? I
guess,
mean, they're down
yeah.
in Florida, so...
Yeah.
Good for him. That woman in pink, they say this on the commentary, is Peyton Reed's wife, although I don't think they're married anymore.
Oh. Why'd you bring it up?
Sorry.
Yeah, I think Peyton Reed brings that up in Down with Love commentary. I think his wife has a little cameo in that too.
Yeah.
What else has Peyton Reed done off the top of your head?
Well, he's only done 4 theatrical movies. Just this, Down with Love, The Breakup, and Yes Man.
Oh, Yes Man. I thought that movie was cute.
Which I didn't know. Like, oh man, I'm the biggest Peyton Reed fan in the world, and that movie came out, and I intentionally didn't watch it because it looked bad, and then I was at work, and I just happened to be walking by the theater on my way to another projector, and I looked out of the window as the credits started, and it said directed by Peyton Reed, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I had to stay late that night to watch the movie. I was like, what's going on with me? How did I not know that Peyton Reed had a new movie coming out? it kind of disturbed me quite a bit, actually. But
It's all because you switched to Diet Coke.
that's what it is. Yeah, it's
Mike.
rotting my brain. But those are the only 4 theatrical movies that he's done. Well, unless there's something else that I don't know about, because who knows these days. But he's done a lot of TV. Like I guess he directed an upcoming episode of New Girl, and he did those earlier shows and stuff like that, and some show which I've never seen called Kashmir Mafia.
Interesting
Only
title.
heard of it.
Yeah, I think he was actually an executive producer on that show.
So here's a question:
Mm-hmm.
Is $20,000 a lot in this context? Like for I guess it's for their school.
I would say so, right? I mean, who else wins money? I mean, like football teams. If you win state, you don't win any money, right?
Seems like a reasonable sum for a group of high school kids.
Yeah.
All right.
And they probably don't get any of it, right? It probably all goes straight to the school.
Right.
I just automatically flashed to Happy Gilmore. Like, I'll just take one of those big checks if you got one of those. So this is good. I mean, like I said, I like this little arc they had with the spirit stick. But like I said, it was in the periphery for too long when it comes back around here. Like, I kind of forgotten about it.
I just see it as like a throwaway element, you know?
Yeah. Just it's a sort of it's a callback, and just to bring it back to, Torrance realizing now that it's silly to worry about it. And
You mean to bring it on, so to speak? Yeah.
I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna hunt you down. I'm gonna hurt you.
You don't even know what I look like, John.
Well, apparently you have a misshaped head or something like that, right? We learned that from earlier in the commentary.
Yeah, I'm really
Look for one of
really
those.
regretting I told you guys that. But yeah, this is good.
I love these. I love these outtakes.
Well, I like it that they go out like on this really this high note, and they bring all the characters back. I like it when they do that in a movie. They all come together. I like that.
I like the little dance number thing, but I don't know. I mean, now that DVDs exist, I don't think that outtakes have any place in movies,
Well, it's definitely been done to death these days, but I like it when they have like this curtain call, and they bring back all the actors in their various roles, and they bring them together. Another film kind of had this kind of dance sequence at the end. What was it called? Get Over It. Another high school movie with Kirsten Dunst, actually. Do you guys recall?
I remember.
Yeah,
I never saw
Yeah,
it,
they have a big dance sequence at the end, and all the characters come back, and it's just really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm okay with that, but I don't like the outtakes though.
Yeah,
Okay, I want to comment on that. What you just said. You said that now that we have DVDs, there's no reason to put goofs, a blooper reel essentially at the end of your credits. But that like by that logic, I don't think that. What am I trying to say?
I don't know. I'm waiting.
I'm basically I'm just saying, like, why not? Like, why? Like,
Because
just because like, oh, we'll just put it on the DVD. Like, I think if you want to put some bloopers in your end credits, like you should be able to do so.
Well,
like,
sure.
There's no rule that says no, it goes on the DVD.
Yeah, I mean, sure. There's no rule.
Plus, like, what if you wanted to make it longer? Then if you had an extended blooper reel, then you could put that on the DVD or
I don't
whatever.
know. It's just like, I mean, are these things even funny? I mean, people messed up their lines.
I think they are. I mean, it shows because it shows like
I think it
like everybody having a good time.
it gets you into the spirit. Like, you really feel like these actors had a good time making the movie, and that leaves you with a warm feeling.
I guess so. I don't know.
Well, I think it's just because in this DVD world we live in now. I mean, this was back in 2000. DVDs they were around, but they weren't.
DVDs had sort of just kind of come out.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Well, I mean, that was I remember thinking that back when I saw this movie in 2000.
Yeah, and nowadays in this DVD world we live in, outtakes are on DVDs, and a lot of the time they're not funny anymore. They just put them on there as a special feature to get you to buy it, you know? So back when they made this, it's okay. It's all right that they had these outtakes in there. But it's all about the spirit.
So back off, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, like, this makes me think of the end of 40-Year-Old Virgin, you know, when they had that dance sequence at the end. And they brought all the characters back. It's just like that kind of warm feeling you get. I don't know, I like it when they go out on, like, why have this dance sequence? Well, why not?
That's fine. Yeah, I'm okay with that. The dance sequence.
And I've had that song stuck in my head since yesterday, the Mickey, You're So Fine. You blow my mind. Yeah, that damn song is so catchy.
Well, whose fault is that?
It's Wayne from Wayne's World when he sung it in his car. But, well, anybody still with us? The credits are now rolling.
Yep.
Well, I think, I don't know about you guys, but I wanted you guys to bring a scholarly approach. I think you guys did a fairly good job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
I hope we can attract some listeners. The fact that 3 dudes did a commentary for Bring It On, so.
Well, I think we should pat ourselves on the back that we weren't all just making cat calls and howling at the screen the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it does have a lot of good stuff in it. It does work as a movie. It's not like you don't watch it just because of that, or anything like that. There's more to it.
Yeah,
and that makes it easier to.
No, I agree. It is a legitimately good movie with like a point to it and a decent story that I think is worth telling, and it's told well. So.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like I said, I was really caught off guard by how much I did enjoy it. I really expected not to be honest with the both of you. When you both said you would want to do a commentary, I was like, I don't know. Okay, I'll try.
It really reminds me a lot of Josie and the Pussycats, which came out just a few months after this. Have you guys seen that one?
Oh, I love Josie and the Pussycats.
It's just like, it's that same thing. I don't know, maybe it's just that first scene, too, where it's like, there's this big, marketing machine or whatever to get, a certain demographic in a theater. Then once you're there, the movie just says, like, look, you're stupid, And I don't know, I like that. But especially in Josie and the Pussycats, it works because it's like kind of the whole premise of the movie is like, marketing gets you to buy things, and marketing got you to pay to see this movie, and but this kind of does that too, to a lesser extent.
A little bit, yeah.
I do like that.
Well, all right, John, do you have any other closing thoughts on the cinematic opus that's Bring It On?
Well, I mean, we make fun, but I think that this movie is exactly what it needs to be, and it is certainly a better entry into the sort of teen comedy genre. So I think it's definitely something that should be added to someone's collection if they're into that kind of thing. And I like all the performances. I think the script is really tight. I like like you said, the direction is really brisk. There's never a dull moment with the movie, and I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's really sweet and charming.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to the both of you for recommending the movie to me, and it is now a part of my collection now.
Cool.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say, Mike, before we close out?
Can't really think of anything. No.
Okay. Well, this has been Josh at the Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy. You can visit me at soullessminions.youku.com. Please leave a comment if you like. I encourage that. Or visit Zarbin, the House of Commentaries. Please check out John at sofadogs.com. And
it's sofadogs.libsyn.com. Actually, we don't have the Sofadogs domain anymore by itself. It's You have to go through
Oh,
Libsyn.
my mistake.
You can just Google Sofa Dogs. You'll find it.
My apologies. And you can find Mike. Mike is a part of Commentary Track Stars. You can find him at commentarytrackstars.com. Do I have that right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay. All right. Well, this is Josh signing off. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.